Welcome into 5 Wide for props and locks for NFL Week 9, coming off a winning week 2-1 last week with our 3 plays. I'll have 3 more for you guys today, including 2-player props and a side heading into Week 9. On the season, we are 16-8, over 66%. Definitely been really solid. The one losing week came the week before last one, Week 7. Looking to stay hot here. If you guys do enjoy today's video, if you've been making some money, would really appreciate if you hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel as well if you're new, and let's get into these plays. First up, I'm taking the Falcons, -3.5 at home against the Vikings. Obviously, this Vikings team going to be going forward without Kirk Cousins and going to Jaren Hall at quarterback in this one. I think the Vikings seem a little bit overvalued here on the road without Cousins. I mean, Hall obviously gets in for a few plays to close out the game. Didn't really play much of an impact in the result in this one. The Vikings had things handled before Hall stepped in. And this Vikings team leans very heavily on Kirk Cousins and their passing game. And I think Hall coming in is going to have a major impact, obviously, on that. They were throwing the ball in 66.9% of plays, the second highest rate in the league. And the rushing attack has been completely non-existent, whether it's Alexander Mattison, whether it's now Cam Akers. They average just 3.6 yards per carry. They're 21st in EPA per rush, and they're 30th in first down rate in the rushing attempts. So they are just not moving the ball effectively on the ground. And now that they lose a quarterback who definitely puts more stress on the defense down the field and in the passing game, this is a Falcons defense that's going to have plenty of answers in my mind. And if they're going to run the ball more often, which I definitely think they do with Hall at QB, this is a Falcons team that's very, very good against the run. They're third in opponent EPA per rush. They've been excellent this season. And then on the other side of the ball, we have this Vikings defense that's very heavily reliant on the blitz, coached by Brian Flores. They're blitzing at the highest rate in the entire league, 52% of plays. Taylor Heinicke stepping in at quarterback for the Falcons, and that's a really great sign for this matchup. Now, Heinicke's with a new team, obviously with the Commanders last year, now this season with the Falcons. But I look at the numbers last year, and I do think that looking at how quarterbacks perform against the blitz can be pretty indicative year after year, regardless of what team they're playing for. Last season, Heinicke was a top 5 probably quarterback against the blitz. He had an 8 yards per attempt, which was 7th, and he completed 68% of his passes, which was 5th, and his passer rating was also the 5th highest in the league. So this is a guy that's very comfortable when he's seeing numbers coming after him and able to take advantage of the numbers, the lack of numbers that teams have in their secondary to be able to defend the pass. So I'm very confident what Heinicke can do against this Vikings defense that lacks talent and just tries to put as much pressure on quarterbacks as they can. And really, can Jaren Hall match what I think this Falcons offense can do with Jaren Hall at quarterback without Justin Jefferson as well? Like, we're talking about a passing offense that's relying heavily on Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, definitely some good options. But I think on the road here, this is a tough number to ask a rookie quarterback to be able to cover, especially one without much draft pedigree whatsoever. I like the Falcons here at -3.5. Next up, we head to another big game in the 1 p.m. slate, Seahawks and Ravens. I'm going to be taking Gus Edwards under 54.5 rushing yards. So he's gone under this number in 5 of 8 games so far this season. And for me with Edwards, talked about this when we were talking about our running back start sit earlier this week, heavily reliant on game script and plus matchups. We look at the matchup with Detroit where he went over. That was a game where the team was leading significantly in the second half by more than 3 scores. So hitting the ball off to Edwards is just that way to kind of kill the game. And then we have a game where he went over against Arizona, one of the worst teams in the entire league and one of the worst defenses against the run in the entire league. Then you look at the games he goes under: Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Indianapolis. Indy and Pittsburgh aren't even great run defenses, but these were games that the team was trailing in, and then Tennessee and Cleveland have been stout against the run, and Edwards wasn't able to clear those numbers. And they go against a Seattle defense who I think is, for a lot of people, have not realized how good this run defense has been so far this season. They're allowing just 3.6 yards per carry, which is 4th in the entire league. They also added to their interior with trading for Leonard Williams from the Giants just this past week, so definitely should get even more of an improvement in their run defense with him mixing in. And then Edwards as a back, like not a super efficient, not a super talented player, averaging just 4 yards per carry, which is 26th the position, not generating a lot of explosive plays either. His breakaway run rate is 3.8%, which is 30th amongst running backs. What I think we'll also see, because this is more advantageous for the Ravens to move the ball through the air, we're probably going to see more Justice Hill in the receiving game, but also he'll get some touches in the rushing game as well, as he has in every week this season. So I think the volume overall should be down for Edwards because of the matchup, but also getting Hill on the field a little bit more. I think this is too big of a number, and one where, this is a competitive game I expect to see. So I think this will be one where they lean more in the pass game, where that's a better matchup for their offense. And the last one here, big game in the 4 o'clock slate. Very excited for this one. A battle in the NFC East between the Cowboys and the Eagles. I like Dak Prescott over 248.5 passing yards. Was kind of going back and forth in this game. I think I like the Cowboys here. I like what they can do in terms of obviously that defense and that pass rush. Jalen Hurts not using his legs, because I do think he's obviously a little bit banged up, is something that the Eagles are going to sorely miss in this one, just relying on his arm. And I do think that the Cowboys can definitely cover this number. But what I like a little bit better is Dak to go over his passing yards. I think I said 248.5, 245.5. He's cleared this number in 5 of 7 starts this season, so definitely been solid to it. And Philly has been a very, very good run defense. Across the league, this is a respected run defense because teams have not been running it much against them. But they're giving up just 65 rushing yards per game in total, and they're giving up 3.8 yards per carry. They're top 10 in EPA against the run so far this year, so really stout unit. Because of how good they've been against the run, teams have been throwing the ball a bunch against them. The second most in the entire league, 39.8 times per game. If we get close to 40 pass attempts from Dak Prescott in this one, very comfortable that he could go over this number. Opponents are averaging 247.5 passing yards per game against this Philly defense, 26th in the league. So definitely a lot of volume coming here, and the production is showing as well. Dak also has cleared this number in back-to-back starts against the Eagles, dating back to 2021. So he's made the start tail end of 2021, and then his start at the tail end of 2022 was able to go over in both of those games. Missed the one against the Eagles where they had Cooper Rush starting early last season. But again, the Eagles' run defense was nowhere near as good as it is right now in those seasons. So in this particular spot, I think we have an even better chance of being able to clear this number because of how good the Eagles have been against the run, where they've not been as good against the pass. They also like to play a lot of man coverage, and CeeDee Lamb has been feasting against man coverage, has one of the highest yards per route run in the league. So he should definitely have his way here and be able to help us in a big way in clearing this number for Dak. Okay, those are my 3 favorite plays heading into week 9 of the NFL season. That is the Falcons -3.5, Gus Edwards under 54.5 rushing yards, and Dak Prescott over 245.5 passing yards. Again, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, would really appreciate if that like button for me. Let me know that you want to continue to see this content each and every week. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.